All right, everyone. Cool. I'm assuming you can all see my screen share. Um, so nowadays we're in this really kind of unprecedented time in our history, and it's almost like a giant rejection. You know, you want to go to work, you can't go out, and just there's like rejection everywhere. So so this is a very timely message. So let me ask you a question: how many of you like rejection? Raise your hand. All right. No. Okay. I see a lot of people shaking their heads. Okay. Let's start with a better question. How many of you like gifts? Raise your hand. All right. I see a hand raised. Cool. I love gifts. I love getting gifts. I love giving gifts, mostly getting gifts. But when I was growing up, for a moment in my life, I didn't like gifts that much. Why? I grew up in Beijing, China. Okay. It was a pretty normal childhood. But when I was 6 year old, my first grade teacher one day came up with a brilliant idea. Brilliant. That she wanted us to not only get gifts, but also learn the virtue of complimenting each other at the same time. So she had all of us come to the front of the classroom. There were like 40 of us. She said, hey, why don't you guys say nice things about each other? If you hear your name called by someone else, you can go get the gifts and sit down. What a great idea, right? What could possibly go wrong? Every time and it started great. Every time I heard someone else's name was called, whether someone's a good student or someone can sing really well, I'll be like, yay, when it's my turn. Then there were 20 people left and 10 left. At the end, there were 3 kids left. That's where the compliments stopped. And I was one of them. At that moment, I didn't want gifts anymore. I didn't want compliments anymore. I just want to sit down. I didn't know why no one would say anything nice about me. I thought that was cool. I thought I was a popular kid. Then I saw who was standing next to me. I knew otherwise because I hated those 2 kids. The teacher was freaking out. She was like, oh my God, will anyone say anything nice about these people? No? All right, why didn't you just go get a gift and sit down? You guys behave better next year so someone will say something nice about you. As I'm describing this, like it happened to me yesterday, right? Ever since that day, I would just die now to be in that situation again, getting rejected in public. But I don't know who felt worse that day, whether me or the teacher. She probably realized that her team building event turned into this roast of 6-year-olds, without the humor. When you get roasted, it's supposed to be pretty funny. There's just nothing funny about that day. But that was only one version of me, and when I was 6, people grow up. About 8 years later, I'm gonna upgrade. Think about, I live in Silicon Valley now. Everything here is about version 1.0 and 2.0. So that was version 1.0, and 8 years later, there's version 2.0 of me. So this guy came to my hometown to speak. Oh, let me click. There we go. You probably guessed, like, there's Bill Gates. He came to China to promote Windows 95, and I heard him speak. I love this guy. I loved everything about him. His idea of using technology to change the world, and this his entrepreneur story. And someday he's gonna try to find a vaccine for a global pandemic. I didn't know that back then. But I love this guy, and I just want to be like him. So that night, I wrote a letter to my family telling them, "Hey, don't worry about your son. I got my life figured out. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. By age 25, I'll build the biggest company in the world." And I would buy Microsoft. I didn't make this up. My family kept this letter for me all these years, and they sent it to me when I was 30. They're like, have you done this? So this is what the letter looks like. By the way, you don't have to try to read it. It's really bad handwritten Chinese. I get embarrassed every time I look at it. But I did highlight some keywords for you so you know what I'm talking about. In that letter also said, someday I want to go to the United States to fulfill that dream, because that's where the land of opportunities is. And that's where, that's the Bill Gates, that's his home turf. I want to beat him on his home turf. So 2 days later, 2 years later, when I was 16, actually, I was given the chance to come to US as a cultural exchange student. When I came though, I didn't go to Houston. I didn't go to LA, New York. I went to rural Louisiana. Okay. I don't know how many of you are from rural Louisiana. It's a small town that if you type into Google Earth and Google Maps, you see all green. You have to just zoom in. At the end, there are a couple towns, like a couple roads. That's the town. There are more cows than people in that town. So I said, okay, that's a different American dream than I thought. but it's okay. You know, I'm going to start small. And someday someone will read a book from me, like I'm this great immigrant entrepreneur starting from small town. That's when I was 16. All right. Then fast forward another 14 years. One day I woke up, I was 30. Nope. I didn't build the biggest company in the world. I didn't even start. I mean, I did okay for myself. I went to, I went to school. I found a job. I made money. I got married, bought a dog, bought a car, bought a house. And I mean, it was a really good, it was a good life. Okay. It's the type of American dream that many people thrive to have, but it wasn't my dream. Where was the kid who wrote this letter? And so looking back, I was like, what happened? And even at work, I felt I got stuck. I wasn't progressing. I was just going through the treadmills and just going nowhere. So I was like, what happened to this kid? So looking back, and like I found every time I had some new idea I wanted to do. Every time I want to step out, every time I want to take a risk. And at work, every time I have a new proposal, I want to speak in front of people. There's a constant battle between the 6-year-old and the 14-year-old. One wanted to change the world, another was afraid of rejection. And guess what? Every time that 6-year-old won. And this fear of rejection even stayed with me after I started my company. So I quit my job when I was 30 and started I started a tech company, a tech startup, and building this mobile app. If you want to be Bill Gates, you have to start sooner or later, right? So 4 months into my venture, a local investor showed interest in my company. And I really thought he was going to invest. I really thought he's going to invest. And I even dreamed about this 5 different times. But then there was dreams and this reality. One day I was at a restaurant celebrating my friend's birthday. And then my phone vibrated. And so I put it out and I saw it was the email from the investor. I'm like, whoa, okay, I hope it's something good. So I was trying to channel good energy into it. Then I clicked open. It was one liner that said, nope, we're not doing this. It didn't tell me why, it didn't tell me how. At that moment, I had to just step out and walk out so people wouldn't see me crying in front of them. I thought I was tough. I thought I was ready. I thought I was well educated. But at that moment, the 6-year-old was standing on my shoulders again, just whispering into my ears. He was like, hey, who do you think you are? You want to be an entrepreneur? That's for the geniuses like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. They got their thing figured out. Okay, you're just wannabe. You should quit now before you embarrass yourself more. At that moment, it dawned on me, would Bill Gates wanting to give up after rejection like that? Would anyone successful at anything wanting to give up after rejection like that? No way. I mean, I can keep going and build a better team and better product, but I gotta be a better person. I have to get myself unstuck. I have to solve that rejection problem. And so, I got to put that 6-year-old back to his place so he wouldn't talk to me like this over and over again. So what did I do? I searched online. Google's my friend. First of all, I found a bunch of articles written by psychologists. By the way, I see some voice. If you can mute, that'd be great. So first of all, I saw a bunch of articles written by psychologists and telling me, hey, where's your fear and pain coming from? No, they weren't that helpful. Then I saw a bunch of articles written by sales gurus, just these rah-rah articles screaming into my face. They're like, hey, don't take rejection personally, just move on, overcome it. I'm like, who doesn't know this? If it was still that simple, why was I still so afraid? Then I saw a website, it's called rejectiontherapy.com. That got me interested, right? For those of you who don't know, rejection therapy is this card game. I got a copy. So this is a card game invented by this Canadian entrepreneur. His name is Jason Comley, and he's got some real rejection issues. That's why he invented this deck of cards. It's 30 cards, and each card will give you a suggestion to get rejected at something. The idea is if you go look for rejection, instead of running away, you do this for 30 days. By the end of it, you would desensitize yourself from the pain of rejection. You become this badass. I'm like, this is the best idea I've ever heard. I want to be a badass. I want to be the baddest ass of them all. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do this for 30 days. I want to do this for 100 days. Let me overdose on rejection. I'm going to see what happens. Also, I'm not going to use this card. This is cute, but I'm going to come up with my own way of getting rejected. I'm going to use my imagination and to see what it's like. And also, I'm gonna use my phone to film myself, and I'll put this on YouTube or make a video blog or vlog out of this thing. So basically, to create some accountability for myself. Otherwise, I quit things really easily. So that's what I did. So this was what the website looked like then, right? As you can see, rejection 1, borrow $100 from a stranger. Okay, all right. I lived in Austin, Texas at the time. So one day before going home, I came down and I saw this big guy sitting in the lobby, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna ask him. That's my target. So I started out like full of swagger. Yeah, I can do this. You know, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I just walked toward him, started full of swagger. Then I slowed down halfway through, and I was sweating. The hair at the back of my neck stood up, and I was a total mess when I got there. And I was like, sir, can I borrow $100 from you? He looked up. He was like, no. Why? I said, no. Okay, sorry, no, bye. I just turned around and just ran as fast as I could. I felt so embarrassed. But the thing about doing a video blog is everything you do, you got to experience this thing twice. That night, I have to upload this thing to YouTube. I have to edit video, right? I was like this NFL scout looking at the game film frame by frame. So I was just gonna see what happened. First of all, I saw myself. I was so scared. I looked like the kid from the movie Sixth Sense. I saw dead people. And then I saw this guy, right? He's a big guy, right? But he wasn't like a menacing figure. He didn't have a club or a pepper spray. He didn't cuss me out. He didn't call the police. All he did was to say no. He asked me why. So he was inviting me to explain myself. I could have said many things. I could have said, well, I'm trying to overcome my fear of rejection here. Or I could have said, I'm just trying to have some fun. I don't think this is possible. Or it could be like, hey, if you can do 100, can you do 50? 25? $5. You can do $5, can't you? I could say all those things. But what did I say in reality? I said just 4 words. No, sorry, no, bye. I'm like, this is like the microcosm of my life. Every time I got the slightest rejection, I was so scared. I would just run away as fast as I could. So I said, okay, tomorrow, no matter what happens, I'm not going to run. I'm going to stay engaged. I'm going to chat. I'm going to see what happens. So rejection 2, request a burger refill. All right. So one day I had this very juicy cheeseburger for lunch, and afterward I went and talked to the cashier and said, hey, can I get a burger refill? He was confused. He was like, what do you mean like a burger refill? I said, just like a free drink refill, but with a burger instead. He was like, sorry, we don't do burger refill, man. That's where he rejected me. But this time I didn't run, and I just stayed engaged. I was negotiating. I was like, hey, if you can do I love your burger. It's so good. Then give me a burger refill. I'll come back here every day for the next week. I'll tell everyone about it. It's not bad for a free burger, right? You can do it. He was like, yeah, it's a good idea, but sorry, I can't do it for you. We can't give out free food or get in trouble with my manager. Okay. I didn't want to get in trouble with his manager. So that's where I left. And guess what? I wasn't scared anymore. It was still very awkward, but I didn't see dead people at that moment. So that's a huge improvement. So I said, okay, only 2 days into this, I learned something important, that if I don't run after rejection, I don't have to feel too bad. Then as I kept doing this, like strange things started to happen, like really weird things. I became so good at asking. I become so much more confident. I started like having the positive energy and becoming more eloquent, and people started to say yes to me, one after another. For example, one day I had this soccer ball in my hand, right? I went and knocked on a stranger's house. The guy opened the door. He was a big guy. He got this giant Texas flag on his t-shirt. And, from Texas, people do that there. So I said, sir, can I play soccer in your backyard? And he was like, soccer in my backyard? Then he looked at me and he saw I was serious, because I got a soccer ball, I got a shin guards, cleats, all decked out. And he was like, huh, I guess so. All right, come on in. I was like, now what? I didn't think this through. How do I play soccer with myself in the backyard? So I just went in, I did a little bit dribbling. I had him take a picture of me. Before leaving, I said, how can you say yes to me? He was like, dude, this is so off the wall. How can I say no? I'm like, okay. Then there's another day I was just driving down the highway. I saw a police car. I was waving. I just waved at him and he waved back. I'm like, no. Can you stop? So I put him over and I said, officer, can I drive your car? By the way, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not going to drive the way, I just want to listen to your radio. I want to give it a spin. I want to feel like a police officer. And he was like, I've never heard that before. Sure, why not? So I drove a police car that day. There's another day, right? I just got a bunch of yeses in a row. I just got frustrated. I'm like, this is rejection therapy, not acceptance therapy. Like I gotta get rejected somehow today. So what's one thing that no one's gonna say yes to me? How about if I try to fly a plane? By the way, I have no idea how to fly a plane. I didn't have the knowledge or courage. I just want to get rejected that day. So I went to this airfield in Austin and I saw this pilot-looking guy in the lobby. I said, sir, do you have a plane? He's like, yes, I do. I said, can I fly it? He was like, do you know how to fly? I'm like, nah. He said, yeah, it's okay. I'll teach you how to fly. You want to do it now? I'm like, why? What's going on? So as it turned out, he didn't own a commercial jetliner like a Boeing or something. He owned a gyroplane. For those of you who don't know, a gyroplane is like a miniature helicopter or like a motorcycle in air type of thing. So this is a rich hobbyist. He just bought his new gyroplane and he wants to show everyone how awesome it is. So he taught me how to fly. It was amazing. I'll tell you more about it later. By the way, if you go to my YouTube channel, you're gonna see all of them in video forms. They're all pretty fun. But I want to show you one video that's probably the most famous one, and it really talks about this idea of looking for rejection but not getting it. Let me hear this. Let me see if you can get this through the speaker here. I'm driving to Krispy Kreme. I'm going to, well, I know, I just got my haircut yesterday. I look like a Viet Cong from the 1960s. It's okay. I'm going to grow into it, or my hair is going to grow into me, either way. I'm driving toward Krispy Kreme. I'm going to ask them to make me some specialized donuts. And we'll see what happens. What kind of specialized donuts are you talking about? I like to have getting you link the 5 donuts together, make them look like Olympic symbols. And when are you looking to these? Huh? When? The next 15 minutes. How did they link them this year? Just normal color is fine. So you want them linked? Yeah. I didn't even pay attention to the Olympics this year. No, just you got the 5 donuts together, look like a Olympic symbol. Was it this way this year? Something like that. That would work. Just link any 5 donuts together. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna take me longer. How long? Because I'm gonna catch them on the other side, and then they've got to get through the proofer and then drop in the fryer. It was the red, blue, green, yellow. What's the other color? Red, green, yellow, blue, maybe white? Was it white? Could be. That sounds right. Oh my gosh, I haven't watched the Olympics in so long that I may not be able to link them, but I can maybe make them look like they're interlinked. Okay, that would be great. Because the only thing I'm worried about is if I try to put those through the proofer, they will unsettle the trays and they'll end up falling. And then once they hit the fryer, we've got a divider, and if they hit that, they're going to get stuck. You know what I'm saying? If you can make that, you're going to make my day. Okay.
Try, but what do you think?
Wow. That is really good. That is really good. Yeah.
I mean, that's the best I could do with what we've got.
No, it's good. It's good. It's more than I thought it would be done. So great. All right. So Jackie?
Yes.
All right, I'm a fan. Thank you.
You're way too kind.
No, you're
way too kind.
you're really good. All right, so do I pay there?
Don't even worry about that. One's on me.
Are you serious?
Ditto.
You serious?
Very. Extremely.
Wow.
Extremely. That's my pleasure.
All right, Jackie, I'll take it. But man, you make me really happy today. All right, thank you. All right, see you. Give me a hug. Okay.
Enjoy.
All right, thank you. See you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, so these are the donuts. We had them for dessert that night. It was really sweet. There's a lot of sugar in there, but the whole experience felt even sweeter. When I was walking out of that donut shop, I just had tears in my eyes because I just couldn't believe the type of customer service or just human kindness that you saw in that video. And apparently the world couldn't believe that either. After they put this video on YouTube, it went to the front page of Yahoo, front page of Reddit, when the Time of India, it went to the Daily Mail of UK. It got over 5 million views. The Krispy Kreme stock actually went up after this video. I made someone rich. And then people start sharing story with me, crazy stories. And people are like they're writing emails. They're like, hey, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's rooting for rejection. That's so awesome. It's so inspiring. I'm like, I'm just looking for rejection. As it turned out, I mean, I thought I was the only person who was afraid of rejection, or maybe me and a few other people. As it turned out, everyone's afraid of rejection. And they're all living their fears through my eyes. And it's very therapeutic for people. And then I start getting stories from people like telling me, hey, they start making changes in their lives. And for example, there's an artist who is in Austin. She had the art that was just beautiful and profound, but she didn't share it with anyone. She's like, this is my art. But she saw this video. She's like, well, this is my, if you can go make those donuts go viral, right? I'm a real artist. Why should I be afraid of asking? So she started asking local media and family and friend, and he got picked up by national media. And she was invited later by the White House to give a show in Washington, D.C. It changed her life. Then there's this guy, his name is Mike. He told me he's been afraid of rejection his whole life. That's so much so that when he goes to restaurant, he would ask his kids to get ketchups. But just this past year, his wife was diagnosed with cancer. He said he learned a lot about the American medical system, for good and for bad. But one thing for sure, sometimes to get things done, you have to ask. You have to ask doctors and nurses and hospitals to get things done sometimes. And he was like, you're asking it by doing rejection therapy. I'm trying to save my wife's life here. Why should I be afraid of asking? So he started asking, and he was thanking me for it. It was just all this type of stories that really got me thinking, wow, this is something really important, right? If I can understand this rejection thing, if I can somehow make people, help a lot of people through this way, I can make some real differences in the world. So I spent the rest of 100 days rejection, and even subsequent years trying to learn and read and research on everything possible about rejection, communication, behavioral economics. And I learned a lot of things. I discovered a lot of secrets. And I even give I even published a book on this subject, and I gave a TED Talk. It was actually number 3 most viewed TED Talk of 2017. I think it was behind Elon Musk and the Pope. Sometimes you're just not as cool as someone else. What can you do? But I'm saying this not to say how cool I am, but it's really how relevant this subject is. A lot of people feel stuck. A lot of people feel they're held back by their fear. So So and I started doing research, and I'll share some of the findings with you here on what rejection actually is. So what is rejection? What is this thing that we're so afraid of? But if you work through that, if you can overcome that fear, you can make some real changes in your lives. As it turned out, rejection is a numbers game. It's just pretty much a numbers game. In this 100 days, I could ask something pretty absurd. Someone would say yes to me. Or I could ask something pretty moderate, pretty normal. Someone would say no to me. But if I want to get a yes, I just go talk to enough people. Someone will say yes to me at the end. It's almost as if there's a number associated with every rejection. You go through enough no's, it becomes a yes. Speaking of number, do I have any Harry Potter fans here? Like anyone, how about the book? Anyone read the book? I hope you have. The Harry Potter, the book is a best-selling book in modern history. Yeah, it blew every other book series out of the water. And you would think a book that good when it first came out, every publisher on earth would fight among themselves trying to publish the book, right? This is the absolute gold mine. This is the publisher's dream. Actually, that wasn't the case. The author, her name is J.K. Rowling. She had to go through 12 different rejections to get her book published. Every time that those feedback that the rejection sounded similar. What, you tried to write a children's book? This big? Oh, there are people dying in the book? Come on, try something new, get a real job. It's on the 13th try, she also got rejected, but the chairman of the publisher gave the manuscript to his granddaughter, who would not put it down. She just kept reading and reading until she exhausted herself. That's where it dawned on them. Oh, maybe we should try this. So they published the first ever Harry Potter book under very low expectations. And guess what? The rest was history. Think about it though. If it took J.K. Rowling's 12 rejections to get Harry Potter published, how many rejections do we have to go through to get ourselves published, to get our ideas published, to get our business published? It's just a numbers game. You go through enough no's, it becomes a yes. Then rejection is just an opinion. It's an opinion. I think we need many things in this world. We need more love and sympathy, understanding, definitely more bathrooms and free drinks. But one thing we have plenty of, I promise you, is opinion. If you don't believe me, just get on the internet. Just go to Facebook. Everyone has something to say about something. And the whole thing is absolute truth. And they turn on your TV. They can't wait to tell you how they feel about something. Opinion is like the cheapest resource on earth. It's completely renewable too. But rejection is nothing more than the opinion and preference of the rejecter. It's just more about the rejection than the rejected. These 100 days, I could ask the same question to 10 different people. Someone would say yes. Someone would say no. Someone would smile and give me a high five. And someone just couldn't wait to get away from me faster. I was the same person making the same request. But is this everything about that person's state of mind, or maybe what happened to him or her night before, or maybe it's a lifelong of understanding, needs, prejudice, who knows? It has nothing to do with me. It's everything to do with that person. But when it comes to rejection, we think somehow it's all about us because we're the centers of our universe. We're the heroes of our movies, of our own movies. That's why every rejection felt like an indictment of who we are. Every acceptance felt like a confirmation of a merit. It's not. It's just an opinion. And then lastly, and this is I'm going to take a little bit deeper, and no one has heard this before, okay? I want to share with you. This is also a secret of you making a transformation of yourself, of yourself. And I discovered that secret. I have always had this ambition. I want to be someone and something, right? But my fear has held me back all these years. And I love to read books. I love to take classes. I love to watch videos. But none of that helped me when I was getting rejected. But what really helped me was me getting myself in front of real people and getting real rejections, right? And in subsequent years, I've been just teaching people how to overcome their fear. You should do this. And guess what? I've been frustrated. There's a lot of frustration because it's often look like this. It's me, whether it's here or on a stage, and teaching people how to become rejection proof, right? And so you think people would take this, people would think like, wow, this is great. And I mean, they will give me standing ovations, but I'll be foolish to think they would just change their lives and start doing this, right? Because there's some research on this. It's called it's a funnel look like this. It's very ugly, by the way. Assume 100% of people heard this message. I'm assuming you're not checking your phone, chatting and just surfing. I'm hearing you're all paying attention to this right now. But how many of you actually will remember this or anything? Study have shown actually about 10% will people of a type of content will be remembered for just the next week. So it's not just my talk, but it's anyone's content, or book or video. That's called a forgiving curve. People forget. And of that, how much of that is actually translating into actions, right? To really make a difference, you got to do things. People have to do things, not just watch and listen. So, and when you do things, you have to do it consistently. I put myself in through 100 days. But when people often do things, they have maybe a short term of motivation, then translate into something like this. You see this. This is what you see in New Year resolution, right? The January 1st, everyone's like fired up. I'm gonna have it in the best shape of my life. 2 days later, it's all gone, right? So I'll share this story with you. Some of you might know this story. This is the first human expedition to the South Pole, right? We've been trying to, so prior to this, people have been trying to reach South Pole all this for a long time, but this is the first expedition team to actually reach it. As if you can know, this is a Norwegian flag, right? These people are Norwegians, but they weren't the only people who wanted to reach South Pole. Not even at the same time. In fact, at the exact same time, there are two teams who tried to reach South Pole. One is the Norwegian team, another is the British team. The British team actually had a great leader, they have the great technology, they're very motivated, but they not only didn't reach their goals, they perished. It's a very sad story. Where the Norwegian team made it, not only they made it, they actually had a lot of, they did it relatively easy. So people are looking back to see what happened. Why one team made it and another team didn't? As it turned out, the British team, they were motivated. They would go hard, right? During a sunny day, they would go as hard as 40, 50 miles, and they would exhaust themselves. The next day, when there's like snowy day, or they would hunker down. So they would go fast and slow down, go fast and slow down. But the Norwegian team did something, it's called a 20-mile march. 20-mile march. So every day, no matter if it's a snowy day or a stormy day or it's a sunny day, they will march for 20 miles. And they just kept doing. So someday they have a lot of reserve left, but they will still hunker down after 20 miles. And they did this day after day after day. What ended up happening is they started developing a habit. They started they couldn't stop. It's like they just every day they would go 20 miles. Eventually they made it. So this is the classic story of the tortoise versus hare. But there's a lot of wisdom to be gained that if you are gonna make a transformation about yourself, you have to do it consistently. So I did 100 days of rejection, but everyone who wants to make a difference, you gotta do this something every day to develop a habit. And that's why I created this company called Dare Me. I went back to my technology route, and I want to say how I can get people to do something consistently and not giving up. And I came up with this app, and we published last year. We made a breakthrough last year, and I want to share with you my finding. So this is like a finding thing. So for example, I work with quite a few clients now with how they can help their people develop a habit and do it consistently. But last year we tried this thing. It's called a 60-day Dare Me challenge. This is with a bunch of realtors in the Bay Area. That's where I live right now. We tried this on 27 real estate agents. And as you know, realtors are independent salespeople, right? The results of their business is directly linked to their effort. They would go out and have to do things in order to be able to have the results. But sometimes motivation is a huge deal. Sometimes people want to say, yeah, I want to be the best realtor, but then they start doing yoga, and then they have a nice lunch and then they don't do anything. So what we did in January and February of this past 2 years is of this year is we want people to focus on 1 hour per week. Just do 1 hour per day. Every day you got to spend 1 hour focused work, right? And there's no distractions and everything. So they start using this app called Dare Me. So the results is pretty. I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what the app look like. Where I put people in a group where you got a leaderboard. So every day you have to do something. And if you do something, you advance on leaderboard. If you don't, you're out, right? It's as simple as that. You got to do this 20-day mile. But as you can see, people started doing things like this David guy. He started calling people, right? He wasn't calling before, but he was calling him. But this guy is Fernando. He was dropping off business cards. And this guy is his name is Justin. He started dropping off flyers, and then Sarush, she started sending out mailers, right? People started doing things they were supposed to do it anyway, but we got them uncomfortable and they started doing things. So in 2 months, what happened is vast majority of them actually finished. 85% of them finished, and the hour work is they put in 700 work in total. So these are the lead measures. These are the things that you can do, like we can all do to make the results. But it doesn't matter the economy, doesn't matter what happens. You can control your effort. But the results is they made money, right? So they're realtors, so the results is pretty simple. Here, they overall they made $360,000 more for these 27 people. That comes to $13,000 per person. Now, I'm talking about this not just to say we're all should be realtors, but if you consistently do things, you're gonna start seeing changes. And no matter that's in monetary sense, or you started seeing your character and habits start to change. So, I mean, that's because every day you take a step, every day you take a step. Every day you take a step. So no matter what you are doing, every day I want you to take a step. If you want to overcome the fear of rejection, if you want to, get unstuck, don't have a huge motivation to do it in 1 or 2 days, then give up. Every day, take some step and don't stop. Also do it together. There's a huge barrier. I mean, the reason the reason people are giving up on things is because they are in there themselves. And it's so easy to give up, so easy to get rejected. To get distracted. Once you give up one day, then you will never getting back the momentum. So you want to do it together, but also use technology. That's why I started building this app. Technology can be a bad thing. Nowadays, we see technology as a lot of things where you get distractions, you get misinformation, you're dividing people. But if you use technology the right way, you can actually help people. So that's why. So before I end this, I want to leave you with this. I love this quote. All right, the world needs dreamers and the world needs doers. But above all, the world needs dreamers who do. So because of this, I'm actually gonna give you a challenge. It's called a doers challenge. For next 14 days, every day, I want to focus you to do the most important thing, whatever that is. When you're in your career, you want to overcome fear of rejection. You want to make more sales, and whatever you do, right? I want you to take this challenge. So we're doing this using my app. So Dare Me. If you want to do this, it's completely free, by the way. I charge organizations and in this class is free. I really appreciate it. And I charge organizations a lot of money for this because it actually make them a lot of money. But I'm going to do this for free. And I just want to have you take that chance. I want to take you that step, right? So go to bit.ly and that doerschallenge.com. Actually, I'm going to, if you allow me, I'm going to type this in here so so you can all see it, okay? You can all sign up. Here you go. So the reason I'm doing this is I want you to take that step. I want you to, no matter what you want to do, you got to take that first step to get unstuck. So take that doers challenge. And lastly, I hope all of you, no matter if you take this challenge or not, no matter what you do, right, have this 20-mile march in your own lives. No matter where you are and where you want to be, no matter how big that gap is, no matter how desperate, how much despair you feel, maybe you're not getting there, but just know every day, take that 20 miles, you will eventually get there and get much closer. So so thank you for hearing my story. Thank you for on rejection. Thank you for hearing my story on taking a change. And so I'm here to take you any questions or feedback. I'm here for you.
All right, thank you, Josh. So the way we want to do the Q&A, since we got such a large group, I think the best way might be to put the questions in chat, and then
right.
And then we can select questions and try to get to as many as we can here in the next couple minutes. So please use the chat to ask your questions. And again, if you're not familiar with chat, you can scroll to the bottom of your screen, and then you'll see the chat option. Select that, and you can put a question in. So it looks like there's a question: what is the difference between negotiation and rejection?
Well, okay, interesting question. So when you our natural reaction when you talk when something new idea hits you, especially from someone you don't know, especially for something that you're not sure about, people think the natural reaction should be, yes, I will do that. But actually, that's not the case. The natural reaction is a rejection. Why? Because if you walk down the road, everyone asks you something, you would say yes to this and yes to that. That'll be chaos. That'll be chaos. So people naturally say no to new things. But guess what? People naturally want to say yes, even though they have to say no to protect themselves. But they actually want to say yes. So when you hear the word no, that's not the end of a negotiation. I mean, that's another end of a conversation. That's actually the start of a conversation, right? So when you hear the word no, do something like negotiate. Ask them why. Why are you saying no? Ask them how can they get a yes? Ask them for something else, right? I can go on and on about these different techniques that I talk about in my book, that you turn no into a yes, and then you can. But don't run away. That's the two things you don't want to do when people say no to you: the fight or flight, right? When you fight, you don't want to argue with people. When you argue, your emotions get involved, your opinions will get entrenched. Your flight is you just run away. None of this is a good option because you're not changing people's minds. But if you stay engaged, stay calm, and ask people why, ask people how I could get yes, and then maybe all fails, ask for something else. So in this way, you can start negotiating.
Yeah, from Elizabeth, what one or two characteristics have you found most important to survive rejection? Is it humor? Is it belief in self? What is it?
So a couple things. One is having some sort of a humor, or having if you don't take yourself too seriously, that actually helps a lot. It helps both parties. It helps you being relaxed, right? Being more willing to take that step. And you want to see what happens. Sometimes you just you're just kind of inquisitive. You're like, I want to see what happens. I'll just ask. But that kind of energy actually translates into the other party. People when they see you being relaxed, when they see you not trying to force this on them, like force them to have to say yes, then they're more likely to say yes to you. So it goes both ways, right? The other part is you want to iterate. That's why you do a 20-mile march. You don't want to when you put yourself in front of real people getting real rejections, you can start learning things really fast. You can start rapidly iterating. In software, we call this rapid prototyping. You improve. Think about it. If you can improve just 1% every day on this one skill, right? 1%, then over 365 days, that's a huge compounding increase. You go from someone who's a nobody to a master, to an expert, if you just do this every day and improve 1%. So these two things that can help you to overcome your rejection.
Kevin from North Carolina asks, what would you say to yourself at that moment when the voice in your head said to bail and not do this potentially uncomfortable thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Hi, Kevin, I'm from North Carolina. I live in North Carolina for a couple of years. I like the state. What do you say to yourself in the so there are two things I want to tell you. One is the 5 seconds rule. 5 seconds rule. Sometimes if you're in an in-person engagement, right? When you think about doing something, ask something, do it within 5 seconds, right? In 5 seconds, your mind would not start talking and say, hey, you can't do this. Otherwise, you can talk yourself out of this very easily. People rationalize. So before that voice started speaking, you're like, I'm going to censor you. 5 seconds. I'm going to go. You just ask. Whatever is playing, that voice will tell you. You see that in your mind is a lot worse than what will happen in reality. Usually things, especially if you relax, if you're nice, if you make the other person comfortable, they may say no to you, but it's like in my case, it's never very unpleasant or even not even close to anywhere physical. It's just we like to play these games because in media, in TV, we usually see the worst, so we naturally expect something worse to happen. Almost the worst never happens. So you want to suppress that voice and do it really fast. Another way you can do this is you want to tell yourself, how many no's would I take before I give up, right? Write down that number. How many no's? If you just shoot for yes, you got a couple no's, you're like, this sucks. This is tough. Maybe I'm not good. Maybe you just start giving up, right? But if you are like, okay, I'm going to take 10 no's before I give up. That's where when you get each no, guess what? The rejections are now become your gasoline. There's another thing that doesn't go down. I mean, that will not stop until it goes to zero, which is gasoline, right? So now rejection becomes your fuel, and you will not give up after until you hit 10 no's. And guess what? Usually you get a yes from the 5th or 6th ask, right? But most times people wouldn't even make it there because after they give up after 1 or 2. So these are the couple ways you can techniques you can use to actually not give up and suppress that voice.